Dream Tactics, I think, was overlooked by a lot of people, and while it may not have the bells and whistles of, say, an XCOM or Fire Emblem, this strategy RPG does do some really great things right, and is definitely worth a play for any fan of the genre. When Dreamland is under threat by an evil nightmare entity, it is up to Nera and her friends to save the day. Unfortunately, there are two problems. First, Kirby is on vacation and is not going to be able to help us, and Nera has been neglecting all of her training, and we're now going to have to find the quick and easy route to gain the power to save the day. But Dream Tactics itself is a strategy RPG with some kind of deck building elements to it. This is definitely not a deck building roguelike by any stretch of the imagination. How this game works is that Nera and her friends will get into turn-based combat. Each character can equip a deck of cards. Each kind of character has their own set of cards, but you can also swap cards between the characters, but this comes at a cost. You can't just do this for everyone with every card. The card designs definitely separate Dream Tactics from a lot of the other games that we've played. You have different kinds of synergies built within the characters as well as the cards they have access to. So Luna, kind of our bunny knight, she gets cards that are powered up or procced based off if she has carrots, as well as standing on a carrot that she can play in the field. So what I did was, using the right equipment, I changed the boost from basically being a critical chance to increasing her strength, which is what her cards scale to. So now, whenever she gains carrot power, she also gains attack power as well. Now, combat itself is again going to be your standard mix of turn-based combat, and this is going to be an kind of I go, you go system. You'll control your party. Once you've made all the various movement and action commands, the enemies who are alive will then go. You'll draw from your deck a random assortment of cards, and you can also impact how many cards are drawn based on certain items or gear that you equip. You also get a kind of refresh token each turn that lets you redraw one of the cards. So if you need a card that's kind of buried in your deck, you have a chance of pulling it, or you just get amazingly unlucky like I do most of the time. Combat is going to be built on you maximizing which kind of attacks you're going to use against which enemies. They will usually resist either magic or physical attack the most, and you want to hit them with the one that they are at least resistant to. But of course, things can certainly change based on buffs, debuffs, and additional modifiers as well. Nero basically gets her kind of status debuff of making characters tired, and this is also used to proc additional effects on her skills or give more healing when she casts her healing spell. And I really do like the design of each character being very different, and also having kind of different play styles or how you want to best use them. Now, this is not a case where you're going to be able to like transform a character completely from like one archetype to another. Like, you're not going to turn like your ranged spellcaster into like close range super warrior tank. It's just not going to work like that. But the game does a really good job of giving you a lot of variety. As characters level up, you'll be able to equip more offensive or defensive gear to everyone. And while a lot of the gear is kind of your standard incremental plus strength, plus health, plus defense, there are special gear that will change the properties or the passives of characters. I mentioned the kind of carrot boosting one for Luna a few minutes ago, and there's more that you can mix and match as the game goes on. So just letting your character get a chance to do more of a special effect if they crit, higher dodge chance, or changing certain properties of cards. Now, the combat itself is where I think the game does run into a little bit of a hiccup. Combat is going to be, again, how fast you can deal with enemies, and there are treasure chests set up that will reward you for getting to them or clearing the entire encounter before time runs out. From what we played of this one, we spent about like 4-ish hours, I think, total on it. We did not see any kind of like environmental differences, as in things that can affect the characters, affect how you move, how you attack, etc. The different enemy types kind of fall again into kind of different archetypes of strategy RPG. You have ranged characters, spellcasters, healers, buffers, debuffers, etc. Probably one of the more dangerous ones are the kind of kamikaze, and in this game, all the enemies, at least at the start, are represented by pillows. So you have pillows with bombs stuffed in them coming to get you. Now, the footage that you've been watching is all played on hard difficulty. And to be honest, I didn't have too much of a problem with it. This is a game that definitely rewards you paying attention to the cards and to the gear that you get, because you can set up some very nasty combos. Some that you can just completely clear an enemy group without too much trouble. As the game goes on, the story does evolve, with you accessing different parts of Dreamland, each with their own environment and their own enemies that you're going to be fighting, and you're free to kind of choose which one you go to first. If I had, again, any major issue with Dream Tactics, is that this is one of those games that what you see is what you get. If you play 30 minutes or an hour to it, that is going to kind of be, at least from what we played, the entire experience. So if you get through the first battle very easily, you understand what's going on, the game's not going to throw anything too bad at you that's going to force you to change. And while we did finally get to see some of the newer stuff, I do think the beginning of this game could be maybe a little bit faster in that respect. As I looked at the store page or the achievement rating, I saw that a lot of people stopped playing this one before they even finished the first act. And I'm still wanting to go back to this one and see more of where things go. But all in all, Dream Tactics, as I said at the start, is definitely an underrated game for strategy RPG fans. I like the mix of the deck building, as well as with kind of the equipment itself, to provide some very punchy and spiky abilities that you can make use of. And I'm sure people who will play this will come up with their own strategies and builds for each of the characters. And with that said, I think we'll wrap up this review here. So if you are a fan of strategy RPGs and looking for a very solid indie take on them, then definitely check this one out. And like I said, while it may be a little bit on the repetitive side, if you enjoy the first 30 minutes of this, then I think you're going to enjoy the rest of it as well. This was played with a retail key. If you let me tailor your game for a future stream, video, and showcase, please reach out. And thanks for tuning in, and see everyone in the next video. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and if you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.